Hi my friends, let's take a tour of the International Space Station today, with Medusa, because she's my favorite NASA troll.
Hello, I'm Sunny Williams. I'm up here on the internet.
First of all, let me apologize for the mess they made. They like to keep their cables floating all over the place to make it look more scientific. I used to work in data centers and I tried to do my cables like that once, but then I got fired. I told them it was much more scientific, but I got fired anyway. I should have worked for NASA. Look, there's a flashlight. You will see many of those. The International Space Station also has fire ports all over the place. Well, I have no idea what a fire port is. I tried to Google it, but I can't find anything. Again, look what a mess they made. Yeah, I tried to count the video cuts. It's unedited footage from NASA. You can hear something that sounds like jet engines in the background. Let's listen for a minute.
And they're put together that way we could sort of work on a flat plane, either a wall, a floor, another wall, or the ceiling. But you know, again, all you have to do is turn yourself and your reference changes. The reason I'm bringing that up is because this is where 4 out of 6 of us sleep. And so people always ask about sleeping in space. Do you lie down? Are you in a bed? Not really, because it doesn't matter. You don't really have the sensation of lying down. You just sit in your sleeping bag. So here's one sleep station right here. I'm going in right now.
Look what's behind her. It's a globe. And another fire port. It seems to be in the sleeping room. Why the fuck would they need a fire port there? Well, that's because it's rocket science. I wonder how many emails she gets every day from people asking what's wrong with her hair. It's not floating like it should be in zero gravity. Here she is explaining how she can sleep upside down. But that doesn't make any sense because now her laptop is upside down and she's with her head between all those cables. Could be pretty dangerous at night. I think we should rename the ISS to International Cable Station. I even made the logo already.
I've got some books, I've got some clothes, and other things that make it sort of like home. I'm coming out.
The following part will show you that the astronauts have no respect for each other. Here she is going in the bedroom of another astronaut, without asking anything, without saying anything. If I would find a troll like that in my bedroom, I would be pretty pissed. You see the screensaver on the laptop? It seems to be Windows XP. Bill Gates is not gonna be happy with that. They should upgrade to Windows 10. And as we continue to the next part, you will see more fire ports and flashlights. I want someone in the comments to explain to me what a fire port is and why they need 50 flashlights on board of the space station. Wait, I think she said science. Let's listen.
And one of the things we also do is we exercise. We have some exercise equipment on board the space station. We need to do that because we lose bone density and muscle mass while we're up here, and that's a result of not having to fight against gravity. So how we keep ourselves in shape are with a bike, a treadmill, and a weightlifting machine. This is the bike. You notice the clip pedals. So all you need to do is actually clip your feet in, and then you can start pedaling. You don't need a seat because you don't sit down. Actually, I haven't sat down for 6 months now, so you don't need any type of seat. Just make sure you're held in with your pedals. You probably see that the bike bounces around a little bit. As I move it, it's not steady and held to the wall firmly. And the reason for that is the space station is pretty big. You saw that there's also solar arrays on the space station. If we start putting any forces into the space station, it's going to make those solar arrays bounce around a little bit. So to prevent that, the machines bounce around a little bit, move around a little bit, and that way we don't put any forces onto the structure of the spacecraft out to the solar arrays. All right, a little farther on. Come on.
Does that make sense? If it would be fixed against the wall, the space station would bounce around? Huh? Well, I guess if you look at the design of the space station, I can understand. I wish she demonstrated the bike, because I'm pretty sure you cannot ride that without gravity. Actually, she demonstrated one of those devices in another video, and it seemed like it was her first time ever doing it. Or maybe she's just a clumsy troll. This is the ISS kitchen. She's explaining about the food here. It doesn't seem to be a lot of food to me, but they probably have Soyuz rockets all the time that bring new supplies.
Side dishes, and then some little power bars just in case. So we have all this type of food. Some of it is dehydrated, and so we have to hydrate it, fill it up with water. Some of it is already made, and then all we have to do is heat it up. So something like this, I'm pulling out barbecued beef brisket. Pretty yummy. Not only is this food made in the US, but we also have food here from Japan. We've got Russian food. As you can see, all these red containers are filled with food that's from Russia. And then we get some of our specialty stuff, some things that we like, some of our favorite stuff that your family can send up. In fact, I like fluffernutters, and so I got sent up some fluff so I could make my fluffernutter with peanut butter. So you have a lot of food up here, no problems. I'm here with my two buddies in the airlock. Actually, these are two spacesuits that are ready, primed up to go outside, as we call it, to go do a spacewalk in case we have to do anything outside. Some of the things we do outside are just like inside, repairs. We have a lot of electrical boxes and machinery and solar arrays, in fact, that I talked about earlier, that are outside, and sometimes they don't work quite right. Remember, space is really cold and really hot, and it's also the vacuum of space with no pressure, and so some of the equipment doesn't work well all the time. So we might have to go out and do a spacewalk. Right behind me is actually the hatch that you go out into space, and right now we have it filled up with a couple other spacesuits because we've got 4 of them up here and some of our tools. But right behind here is the hatch in which you actually go right outside into the vacuum of space. The spacesuit is pretty big, as you can
Okay, so this is the airlock, and the exit is blocked with spacesuits and other stuff. According to NASA, those spacesuits cost somewhere in between $2 and $12 million. So can't they make a nice spot to place them? So what happens if they have to make an urgent spacewalk? Do they have to clean up first? And then they have a laptop that can survive the vacuum of space and the extreme temperatures? Come on, NASA, are we supposed to believe this? Did you know that the International Space Station is 16 years old? Damn man, my cars break after 5 or 6 years already. I don't know how NASA can do it. Every time something breaks, they just put on their spacesuit and go outside to fix it. And then if you watch the videos from the spacewalks, they are doing pretty much nothing. It takes like 6 hours, 7 hours for a spacewalk, and all you see them do is replace a tube or close a tube. Sometimes they throw a tool bag into space. All kinds of funny stuff, but it's hard to see them fix something.
The helmet's open. So you can see what it looks like inside. Somebody's little head would be inside of here. So you can see, you can turn your head all the way around while you're inside of there, but the helmet stays still. So that's determines your how far you could see. And it's usually pretty sunny out there, so we have to wear our sunglasses, and this is our sunglasses right here, which make you look pretty cool. Here we are at the throne. This is awesome. You might see the little, you might have noticed the little moon on the outside. This is our orbital outhouse right here. And of course, it serves for 2 functions. Number 2, right here. I'll show you. But you see it's pretty small, so you have to have pretty good aim, and you'll be ready to make sure things get let go the right direction. And it smells a little bit, so I'm closing it up. And that's of course for number 2. And this guy right here is for number 1. So they're sort of two slightly separate functions, but you can do a little, essentially both, by hanging on right here and doing number 1 and number 2. I might add it's color-coded so you really don't get it mixed up, which is nice.
Color-coded? Are you serious? Why does NASA always have to explain us how they use the toilet on the space station? Come on, maybe it's funny to explain, but we've seen it before. It seems like every astronaut who was in the space station is in some video somewhere explaining how he or she uses the toilet. Show us some more of your experiments, because every time someone asks about experiments, they seem to avoid the question. And then pretty much the only experiments they show is water in space.
And then if things get really out of control, we have disinfectant wipes just to make sure we clean up here. Because, you know, just like the water I showed you, the number 1 stuff can sort of go all over the place if you don't aim correctly. And did I mention both of these have a little bit of suction, so they should keep things going in the right direction. But like I said, sometimes things get a little out of control if you are out of control yourself flying around. So we have
out of control yourself flying around? But is a space station not in the vacuum of space? Should it not be very stable? It's probably the vacuum of space that makes the toilet work. They need to adjust it a little so it has more suction. Someone should mail NASA and tell them. I don't need the credit. Here is the only place where they have a good view of the Earth. It's right next to the toilet.
It's like a glass-bottom boat.
What? It's not a boat, it's a space station. It's a space station full of cables. And also a few trolls.
Find yourself hanging out in all the time because all you want to do is look back at our planet. I think some questions I had were about what do you do in your free time? And you can't help but want to just come to the cupola and look outside as much as you can. And a lot of folks, I play this game with myself about where we're flying over the Earth. I try to come in here and just guess. After being here for a little while, you can sort of...
Did you hear those squeaks? Is the space station breaking down?
Different soil types over different continents. So let's see. And then, of course, there's a lot of ocean. So usually we're over the ocean at first glance. I will tell you in just a moment where we are. There we go. Oh, right now we are right over Africa. It's a little bit cloudy, as you can tell, but we're right over the continent of Africa. Hey, what's that? I think that's a Soyuz spacecraft. That's the spacecraft that's taken us home to planet Earth today. Oh my gosh. We might have to go take a look at that. That's pretty cool. It's a little bit smaller than the rest of the spacecraft, the space station, so you'll see if we go there, it'll be a little bit more crammed. But we're going, you can look all the way back to the back of the spacecraft, which is where the Russian segment is, and then you could look all the way forward to the front of the spacecraft, where the Japanese laboratory, the European laboratory, and the American laboratory. Hey, one thing I didn't show you, or I talked about but I didn't show you, was the exercise, another piece of exercise device. This is what we call the ARED, and with this you can lift weights based on vacuum in these cylinders, just like you do at home at a gym. For example, if I wanted to do a squat, I could do it like this. Oops. I should need some weight on this thing. I'm not lifting with anything, so it's too easy.
It's too easy? She has been in space for 322 days in this video, and she can't use the device? Come on. Look, I can do it with one leg, because I need the other one to balance. This is a joke.
So you can work on your beach muscles. All right. I showed you the Soyuz. Let's go check it out. Hey, Aki, what are you doing down there?
Crashing things.
This is one of the cool things about space too. It sort of looks like there's a big old hole here, but you don't even think twice about it. You can just jump over the hole, or if you want, you can go jump into the hole. I'm coming down. Woo! Then you can come right back up again, like Superman. Woo! We're lucky we have a really cool big space station that you can fly around in. That's actually called the PMM. You might have saw it out the window. It's a big silver canister. What's really great about that is it's essentially our closet in our pantry or whatever you want to call it. We have extra food down there. We have extra clothes. We actually throw the trash out down there. So it's nice and organized, and we have all of our...
They throw the trash with their food and clothes, and then they say it's nicely organized. That's weird.
And it's a lot of fun to play in. Now that's a lot bigger.
And it's a lot of fun to play in your trash. Is this another joke?
Oh, one thing we need to show you is our patches here. While we've been up here, we've been Expedition 32 first, and then just recently we're leaving. We were Expedition 33.
33. I'm sure they like that number.
Myself, Yuri Malenchenko, Aki Hoshidi, if you can read Japanese. Yevgeny Turelkin, if you can read Russian, Oleg Novinsky, and Kevin Ford, who just took over as the commander of the space station and will be the commander for the next couple months. And he, by the way, is behind the camera right now. So you can say, hi, Kevin. So we're going into the Russian segment. Be ready. You don't need a passport either.
Now they are going to the Russian part of the space station, and you will see that everything is totally different now. I don't know if the space station is real or not. I wonder how they can fake all this stuff. And if it is real, why are there so many things that don't make sense? That's pretty much the reason I make this video. I want to point out all the what the fuck moments I have when I watch the ISS videos. And then if you ask a difficult question, NASA will just ban you. If you put a negative comment, NASA will ban you. If you go to ESA instead, the European Space Agency, they will also ban you. Maybe we can ask some questions to the Russians instead. Can anyone speak Russian? Well, I cannot.
It has a lot of storage, as you can see. So here we are in the heart of the space station, really. This is the service module. This is the central post. In case we had any problems, I know a couple of the questions were about what type of things do you have to worry about. And some of the things we have to worry about in space are fire. If we had a fire, if we had a depressurization, like we were hit by a micrometeorite and it made a hole, or if we had some type of toxic atmosphere. We use ammonia for our radiator, so there is a possibility that ammonia could come into the vehicle, and then it would be bad for all of us. If we have any of those problems, we come right here, which we call the central post. It is the main heart of the space station. It was also the first computers that came up here that ran the space station. And so behind this wall right here are these main computers. So we gather here as a group of 3 or 6 and then figure out how we're going to either fight the fire, patch the hole, or solve the
You heard it right. She said patch the hole. She really thinks they can patch the hole when there is a hole in the space station. This is another one of my what the fuck moments. I mean, if you know what a vacuum would do, this must be another joke, right?
It has Russian computers as well as American computers to help us control anything we need to on the space station. It's a couple of our crewmates back there, Oleg Novinsky on the right and Yuri Malenchenko on the left. And there's also a second bathroom here, which is really cool because 6 of us going to one bathroom is really tough. And so there's one bathroom here and one bathroom on the other side where I showed you. And you can probably see on the wall behind Oleg and Yuri some of the heroes of the space program. Korolev, Sergei Korolev, who was a chief designer of putting men into space. And of course on the right-hand side, Yuri Gagarin, the first man to go into space. So just reminds of our roots. I'm gonna stop here just for a quick second. You can see on the Russian spacecraft there's also other modules that stick out, down, and above. Right here is, let's see, I'm trying to be oriented. That's a place where we do spacewalks from for the Russian side. There's Russian spacesuits in here, and also a visiting vehicle which brought fruits and vegetables and becomes a trash container when we undock. Up on this side is also a future place where they're going to do spacewalks from, and connected to it is Kevin's, Oleg's, and Yevgeny's Soyuz spacecraft. And now let's go see ours. Whoa. Извините.
No problem.
Это пробка.
Oh man, look what a mess the Russians made. But at least they don't have cables floating all over the place. Do you see all those metal canisters? I bet it's empty beer canisters, or maybe even vodka. You know the Russians.
Coming down. It's a little tricky getting in here. This is the docking probe right here, this big thing. This helps us connect to the spacecraft. This probe actually sticks into this cone, and that's how the spacecraft, our Soyuz, becomes connected to the ISS initially. That is then replaced by clamps, which are around here, that will allow the two spacecraft to be stuck together. And then you can remove the probe and the cone. You okay? All right, so here we are in the Soyuz. This is what we call the BEO, the living compartment, Bitovoy Otsek in Russian. It also has a little bathroom. It's not as good as the other bathrooms, so we try not to use it too much. It has drinking water in it if we need something to drink. And then, of course, it's filled up with a lot of cargo for us. Bringing up and also bringing back down. It has a second purpose when it comes back to Earth. It serves as a garbage container. During the descent, we'll get rid of this area right here, and everything that's in it will just burn up as it's coming into the atmosphere. So that way we can get rid of a little bit of trash. But the main area where we were on launch and where we're going to be on descent is down here, because we're not part of the trash. So we're in a safe place. So we're in the descent module, SA.
So one part of the Soyuz will burn up in the atmosphere because it's full of trash, and the other part with the astronauts will survive. And when they get launched and they get out of the atmosphere, it's never an issue. It's always entering the atmosphere that is the big issue. You know, you have seen it in movies, where you see the fire out of the window. But then if you compare the speeds, it's pretty much the same when they get launched. So why do they never worry about the temperature when they are leaving the atmosphere? Isn't that weird?
Just starting to get ready. We're preparing a couple days ago for our ride home. It's a little bit squishy, but everybody asks, how do you sit in the Soyuz? And you sort of sit in your seat like this. The seat is molded to your body, and so you can just sort of squish in here and be pretty relaxed. Everybody has a handmade seat for them. And then, of course, there's a control panel, and that's where we do most of our actions and work right here. There's hand controllers which you can fly the vehicle with, and there's a stick right here primarily used for communications when we're trying to talk to the...
Oh, it's a stick for communications, come on. Who makes this stuff up? What? How does it work? Do you have to push it to talk and pull it to listen? Is that how it works? That's ingenious. I can't believe the Russians can invent something like this. Well, if I was an engineer, I would have made it the handbrake and make it so that if they pull it that their seat ejects. Anyway, that's the end of the cable station tour. Thanks for watching it with me. See you later. Oh, and don't forget to dislike and don't share and especially don't subscribe.